Welcome back to Satisfactory version 1 for our 35th episode. If you're just tuning in, don't hesitate to check in the video description below for all of the previous episodes. I'm showing everything from the beginning of the game to the end. Today, we're gonna talk about Fixonium. It is time to make Fixonium so that we can have our nuclear facilities create zero waste. We've already turned our uranium waste into plutonium. Now we're gonna turn our plutonium waste into Fixonium, and that will create zero waste. To do that, we're going to need to do a couple of things, in particular singularity cells. We also have neural quantum processor that we didn't do in the last episode, so a couple of these other productions. But yeah, let's dive right in, starting with the hub as always, where we're almost done with unlocking everything in tier 9. We have already done matter conversion, quantum encoding in the last episode, as well as peak efficiency, where we got the Mark 6 belt, as well as the Fixonium, but we couldn't actually create it. Because to create it, you need singularity cell, which is in this spatial energy regulation. This also unlocks the portals. I don't know if we're going to create them in this episode, but definitely very soon. So let's select this milestone. This is 1000 SAM fluctuators, so I hope you're making some in an automated way, right? We have 500 radio control units, 250 turbo motors, so all of this we've automated in the past. And last but not least, 100 of the superposition oscillator, which we started to create in the last episode. Okay, let's launch the pod and check what Ada is telling us.
Milestone reached. Instant travel between chosen locations will be possible as soon as the main and satellite portals are built and paired. Do not ask me how it works. Not because I don't understand dimensional dispersal theory and the cross-warp applications of liminal peer-regulated parallel fibrillator nanocells, for example. But because you do not need to know. You go in one end, you come out the other. It's a door. Thankfully, the construction of project part number 12, the ballistic warp drive, can be automated and requires no manual input from you, so I'd say we're relatively safe. If you disagree about my assessment of your capabilities, you are free to attempt a study and replication of either portal or warp technology after you're done with project assembly.
Thank you, Ada. Let's make sure we finish phase 5. Elevator products indeed. And I think it would have probably been also quite a long explanation on how portals work, but definitely having teleportation is gonna be pretty cool. You can find it in your transport tab over here, main portal and satellite portal. Now there is a lot of consumption of energy. It also requires quite advanced resources, you can see, right? Like the superposition oscillator and all of this. It also actually requires singularity cell consumption. So another reason to make singularity cells, which is not that easy. But before we start with those singularity cells, neural quantum processor. We unlocked it in the last episode, but we didn't make any. So that has been corrected over here now with this small addition. Small, but you're gonna see impactful. So this is using a quantum encoder, right? This amazing building we started using in the previous episode with time crystal, supercomputers, fixed site trigons, and excited photonic matter. So the photonic matter comes from just next door, right? Completely under clock, so it just makes 50. And in this pipe goes there directly. The supercomputers we're already making over there, I'll show you in a second. And then we have trigons and time crystal, right? Both things are just over here. So the time crystal, this is coming from this ground port, right? From a new big base on this side over here, right? Don't hesitate to check in the video description below if you want to see that episode. And then the trigons we made also in one of the previous episodes using those ingots from the same place, which transform them into trigons over here, right? So that was, again, pretty easy. We brought these two here, and the supercomputers, as I said, that come from this assembler over here, or that one of those two. I think it's this one. You can see all of those supercomputers coming over here, and I guarantee you this is exactly the right numbers. I'm making enough. Look over here, you'll see that we're making 3 per minute with a small trick, which is I'm underclocking it to 50% and then using the Summers loop multiplier, just because I didn't want to, I basically miscalculated my radio control unit production, let's say. But yes, with that, we're making 3 supercomputers. So there is actually 0.5 that goes here. That means 2.5 is left. And actually, we're only using 2 over here. So we still have 0.5 supercomputers that is available. Now, we do need a bit more though. It's not like this is finished, because remember, this production and by the way, I love this. This is super cool. This production creates the neural quantum processors, but also create dark matter residue. So we need to send this dark matter residue somewhere. We send it into the particle accelerator over here with the alternate recipe making directly dark matter crystal. And then those dark matter crystal over here, they come out and go directly into the awesome sink. So yeah, with this, we have started to make a couple of these neural quantum processors, which will be needed for one of the phase 5 project, and frankly only for this, nothing else. So yeah, that one done. Now singularity cell. So the good thing with this you're going to see is that there's only one way to make it. You don't have a choice. It is in the manufacturer that you're gonna take dark matter crystal, nuclear pasta. So it's a good thing that we have delivered already 1000 over here for phase 5, because now we're gonna need to use them for my singular cells. But yeah, you need nuclear pasta, and then you need also iron plate and concrete. Quite a lot of them, but this is pretty basic. So to be honest, really what is limiting factor, in my opinion, for making a lot of singularity cell is the nuclear pasta, right? It's 1 per minute for 10 singularity cell. And you're gonna see you need quite a lot of singularity cell. One, we need them for the ballistic drive, right? As I mentioned before, this is one of the phase 5 elevator parts. We're gonna need 5 per minute to make one. So you could be like, okay, that's fine. We don't need to make that many of these. We need 200, right? So 200 minutes is not a lot. But you also need 10 for 10 plutonium waste, right? So that's where it becomes a bit harder, right? And last but not least, you also need them for this portal over here, right? So remember, we need a bit of singularity cell over here for the
Perhaps
portal.
now your progress
So we need
won't
to
be
keep
as
that in
slow.
mind too.
To ensure no further
But
delays
yeah,
happen,
let's start this
I will give you some
production.
tips.
As I said,
A functional
she's
portal
giving us
is
some
two-way
tips.
and requires one main and one satellite portal, each only connecting to the other. Establishing a portal connection will require input of singularity reactors, vast amounts of power, and some patience. Before you continue, you could still change the placement of that one. It seems suboptimal.
He's right, it was definitely a suboptimal position. But yes, again, I'll explain that later. First, I want to actually make singularity cells. So let me see. I think we're gonna need to first make probably a bit of a production of concrete and of iron plates, not too far. We do have some iron over here, some iron there. There is also, of course, iron in the desert, but it's annoying to have to go through this path here. So I think we will probably take some over here. But yeah, I think we'll just use this one. There's also a lot of limestone for the concrete, so that's fine. We can bring this over here, right? Add the other production and start making singularity cell. For the nuclear pasta, we have the production here, right? And I think using, again, maybe a couple of summer sloops, we can probably boost that production, maybe boost also the production of copper if need be. Yeah, I'll show you that when it's ready. And here it is, ladies and gents. I have actually done singularity cell and fixonium, so we're gonna jump into the hub in a second. And to do this, let's build our first portal. Now, to be precise, I have actually built a portal already at the base. You can see it over here at the hub base, and there I put a main portal. I'll explain in a second why. That means now we're going to put a satellite portal over here. So let's go. You do need to connect it to electricity, but a satellite portal, you see there's no input of resource. You don't need to put any resource. You do need to wait a second. We need to first connect it, right? We're going to say, okay, let's connect it to that portal. It's one-to-one type of thing, right? And then you have this over here that is starting. This is the connection starting up, right? You can, by the way, put a name to it. Now, one, this is happening, two things are happening. One, it's consuming electricity. You can check over here. It's probably hard to see because my electricity is moving a bit up and down right now with all of the buildings that, don't consume a constant amount. But yeah, it's consuming some electricity and it's also consuming some singularity cells. So it's a proof I've done some. But yeah, now let's go and see what happens. Ooh, and here it is. Immediately we have arrived on the other side, right? We are now in the hub. So we move from here to there in literally 1 second, and we could also go all the way over here, etc. The idea is probably I'm gonna build a couple of these portals. Now these main portals, they do have an input. They need some singularity cell. As you can see, we see the consumption over here, 2 per minute in this case, right? And we also see the energy, right, being consumed. So that is critical. That is critical. But yeah, this portal is now working. Don't hesitate to tell me if you have any questions about portals. Yeah, as I said, what I'll probably do is also create a couple more in the future, like maybe 4 seems like a good idea. So 4 times 2, that's going to be 8 singularity cell. Yeah, I should be able to manage that. You do need to connect all of them to electricity, right? But and to singularity cell again. And then what we can do is start putting more satellites. You know, as I said, I think we'll probably put a satellite at the nuclear facility, a satellite maybe over here, our endgame factory, and then maybe one over here where we have, you know, things like cooling system and fused modular frame. But yeah, that's the idea of those portals. I think really powerful endgame, you know, for you to start moving around. But more importantly, let me show you indeed the production of those singularity cell. Let's follow this belt, right? You can see there is also some radiation because yeah, we have some new nuclear over here. So singularity cell, as I mentioned before, it starts with nuclear pasta. We're actually making 2.5 nuclear pasta thanks to fully overclock and the summer sloop, right? So we're using sort of all of the game mechanics to the max. This requires 250 of copper powder, 1.5 pressure cubes. We're actually making tons of pressure cubes, so that's not a problem. We were definitely not making 150 of copper powder, we were making 125. So maybe you can guess what we did, but let me show you quickly. You know, the production is still the same. It's in this belt over here, right? You can still see it. And by the way, this is a Mark III because Mark III is limited to 270, so this is perfect for the 250, right? But yeah, the production over here, you know, we had a Mark III, I think it was an impure node, right? Impure node at the top over here. We're bringing the copper ore at the bottom. We're using some water with those refineries to create as many copper ingots as we could with that miner. And then we were sending this into constructors, right? Now we're changing this. We have only one constructor because we're going to use the same trick of putting as many power shards as possible. And then because it's a constructor, you only need one summer sloop to double it. Now, again, to be very clear, it's, I think, quite important because your summer sloop are very limited, that if you want to start using a lot of summer sloop like I've done, you know, for those 2 buildings, you have to also overpower them, right? Because if not, that means I need to have, instead of one of those constructors, I had 3 constructors. So instead of 1 summer sloop, I need to use 3 summer sloop. So that's really not, you know, optimal. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, we were making 750 of copper ingots, we're still making the exact same amount, and this is what's needed here, but now we're making 250 copper powder instead of the 125 of before. So that is you know, the first element for the nuclear pasta. And by the way, while we're coming back, you may have seen I have added a battery station over here. I don't know how many there is, like 15 or 20 batteries, right, to make sure that if ever our electricity consumption is higher than our production, it doesn't stop in, you know, 1 minute. It gives us a couple of minutes to stop, like to fix it. Okay, so yes, as I was saying, right, now we're making 2.5 nuclear pasta. That's a lot more. We're also bringing the dark crystal, right, that I showed you in previous episodes, and that goes into this constructor over here, no, manufacturer, sorry, that is fully overclocked. Now in this one, you don't really have to fully overclock it, right? It doesn't, I mean, it actually increases the electricity consumption, but it was to make the logistic a bit simpler. It does take 250 iron plates, 500 concrete. So, you know, you can see these are the 2 belts over here. They're coming from over here in the back. Basically, you know, if you were to follow them, you would find here we have 2 limestone nodes, right? We transform into concrete, and here we have 2 iron ore nodes. You transform them into ingots and then into iron plates. It's a very basic production, so I'm not going to show it to you. But yeah, with this, we're creating 25 singularity cells. So remember, right now I'm only using 2 over here. Maybe we'll use 8 in the future, but definitely we're making more than this. 25. So then it goes into, right, this one here, continues, and it's going to be an input. Right, as you can see over here, it goes here. It's going to be an input for this whole new place. This is also the first place where we have a train. It's a very simple train network. You can see it over here. The train is starting to come. It's going to go over here and then goes all the way there to another train station. There's only 2 train stations, not in 1 train. So again, it's very easy one. I'll show it to you in a minute. But yeah, it's basically bringing all of my plutonium waste, because the nuclear facility is over here, right? We have the uranium over here, then the plutonium, and it goes into that train. So yes, we're bringing the plutonium, we're bringing also some singularity cells, right? And we're gonna need to bring one more thing, which is dark matter residue, and actually quite a lot. As you can see, it is 500, and making dark matter the easy way we know how in those converters, right? You take the re-inhibited SAM, transform into dark matter. So then this is creating a new thing, this fixonium, right? Here it is. Now this is super radioactive, right? You can see my radioactive level is at the max, but yeah, fixonium. Then we're gonna put this fixonium into two of these quantum encoder fully overclock, because when you fully overclock them, it takes 12.5. So 12.5 times 2, right? That's gonna make the 25. It is also going to require 12.5, sorry, times 2, so 25 electromagnetic control rod, 250 times 2, meaning 500 fixed site trigon, and 125 times 2 excited photonic matter. As always, the photonic matter, to simplify logistic, I'm making right on side next to it, alright, so this belt delivers right away, same for this one. Then we're gonna have the fixed site trigons, right, they come from over here, one of these. Then we have the fixonium here, electromagnetic rod, I'll show you in a second, and that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. So with this, we're gonna make the fixonium fuel rod and dark matter residue. Dark matter residue, you could, I guess, send it back over here. Maybe we should do that actually. Send it back over here. And if not, right, it can be sent then into this particular accelerator to make dark matter crystal, and then you can dump into the awesome sink. But more importantly, it creates those fixonium fuel rod, right, which are also highly radioactive. You can see them over here. Let me get it closer so you can see the model. Very cool model, but yeah, very radioactive. It goes over here, and it will go into a couple of these. Again, I think right now we're producing more than what we are consuming less than what I'm producing, because this is 6.25 times 2, and each of these is only consuming 2 when you overclock it at 200% to make 5,000 megawatts. So yes, we're gonna need more of these, because a key thing with those fuel rods, those fixonium fuel rods, is the only nuclear one that you cannot put into a sink. As you can see, right, the sink is on, it's connected to electricity. Look at this, connected over here, but it is not taking any of these. It's not possible to sink it. On the other hand, it is actually possible to destroy it. So let's do that together. I'm gonna take that here. You can see there is also some here. And if you take it and put it into your bin, it will disappear. The reason it disappears is basically because there is no waste from the production, from the consumption of these, right? Consuming those fixonium fuel rod doesn't create any waste. This is the ultimate nuclear cleanup, right? And this is why I guess you can destroy them, and why you may want, to have a storage container like this to make sure this doesn't get full. But yeah, I would have preferred they just put it into the something. I think it's very strange for it to be the only fuel rod that doesn't go into an awesome sink. But yeah, as I said before, by the way, again, we are overclocking these at 200% to make 5,000 megawatts each. So now we have reached more than 110,000 megawatts with 3-stage nuclear facilities, right? We start with uranium, then we have plutonium, and then lastly, fixonium, which also requires water, right? It's the same amount of water as always, 480 for the 200%. And so with this, we have nuclear power without waste. Now, to be honest, fixonium is not that worth it, in the sense that it tends to actually consume more energy to make fixonium than what it's going to give you. But again, the key point here is we have now zero waste, right? And it was also a bit of a challenge. And first time, playing with fixonium, I think that was great. But yeah, here it is. We have a fixonium here. We have a singularity cell that are used for fixonium, but are also used here for portals. We're going to be able to put more portals in the future. So let's actually use the portal to go back to our main base or hub, so that we can together check what else we have to do. So we have a couple of things that we still need to do. First of all, in the hub, there is one more milestone that we need to do. Now we have all of those resources. It's not going to be that hard to do that in the next episode. Then we also have in the MAM over here, we have a couple of things we didn't finish. Alien technology over here. There's a couple of these here to improve our dimensional depot, but more importantly, there is this alien power matrix. That is something completely new, right? We haven't talked about that before, and it does require a singularity cell, which is why we haven't done it before. Then we have also Power Slug, where we have this synthetic power shard. Now we have a lot of power shards. You can see, for example, we have 38 of these blue ones, yellow power shards. I have 26 and I know I have many others, in storage over here. But anyway, with this, we'll be able to create actually power shards in an automated way. So that's going to be pretty powerful. We also have a couple of ones in the sulfur branch. And this one not so important, it's more ammo and the nuclear Nobilis, which is pretty powerful for sure, but it's not going to change our game fully. We also do have two more fuels, the rocket fuel and the ionized fuel, which I could have done before, to be honest. You could do it basically as soon as you unlock gases, because you do need the tank there, right? And this one, you can unlock it as soon as you unlock that one. So I could have done those two before, but basically I went directly to nuclear, so that's why we didn't. But we should do them for sure. In the hard drive, I still have a couple of hard drives. And if you look at our library, by the way, you can see that there is no more. Actually, if I click over here, if I try to scan, it's going to say unable to scan hard drive. There's no reward currently available. Now, that doesn't mean I have all of the recipes. Obviously, there is all of those recipes I don't have, right? That just means if you look at all of those recipes here, these are all of the recipes that are left in the game. So, if I start selecting some, like if I select, for example, this one, then I'll be able to do a new hard drive to try to find this one here that I don't have anymore, right? And then last but not least, of course, we're going to need to finish phase 5 with 3 new productions that we haven't done yet. We will also have to finish getting all of the Steam achievements for the game. Because if you follow the whole series, I said at the beginning, I was going to get all of them into this one Let's Play. We didn't use any mod, I didn't use any cheats, advanced options. So we are able to get all of the Steam achievements. We've already got quite a few, but there's a few ones, including some pretty secretive ones that not many people have had before and shown before that we need to get. So I hope you're excited with this. Smash like button and I hope to see you next time.